So let's continue on with this rationalizing the denominator. So there's this bridge, the time t that it will take an object to hit a ground can be estimated by the following formula. T is equal to the square root of 2 times h over 10, where h is the height of any object. An interesting fact, it seems that from this formula that irregardless of the weight of any falling object, it seems like it only depends on the height, that it doesn't depend on how heavy something is or the mass, that is just height and time. So, but that's beyond the point. The question is, if I drop a ball from the top of this 24-foot high bridge, how long will it take to hit the floor? Rationalize your results, right? So let's write down this formula and unpack its meaning. So we have T is equal to 2h over 10, right? And as the text says, this is height, and this is time. Cool. So in the question portion of that problem, it says that the height is 24. It is 24. So h is equal to 24. So much like the last problem, all we're going to do here is just substitute. Cool. So 2 times 24, right? I'm just replacing the h for the 24 over 10. So this problem looks a lot like, again, like this problem that we did, the warm-up problem. So we had a radical and a fraction, and then we use this rule to split it. Right, so let's do the same thing for this problem. So let's simplify what's inside, right? We know that since these both are even numbers or multiples of 2, then maybe we can simplify. So 2 times 24, 2 times 12 is 24, and 2 times 5 is 10. So then that suggests that I have 2 times 12, right? And 5. Right, because again, all that I did here was reduced by 2, and this gave me 12, and this gave me 5, right? So continuing along, I have 2 times 12 for the numerator and just 5 on the bottom. So 2 times 12 is 24, and then just bring over the 5. And so now we can use that rule that we used in the warm-up. Remember this one, right? So let's write that one here so that we can split it, so that we can rationalize it. Because the goal, like the problem's title suggests, we're rationalizing the denominator. So square root of 24 over square root of 5. Right, so here I RTD'd or rationalized here I used this rule. The rule for fractions, that's what I did here. And the rule that I used here, did I use a rule? No. So moving along, let's just bring this piece over here. And let's rationalize the denominator, right? So let's rationalize the denominator. So that means multiply top and bottom by what the denominator is, right? So the square root of 5 and the square root of 5. So the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 5 times 5, that you probably already know what that is, and the square root of 24 times 5, right? And let's evaluate, simplify this. Times 5 times 5 gives you the square root of 25, and then this is 5. But 24 times 5 is the square root of 120. Since there's no two like numbers that when multiplied, no two like numbers that when multiplied because of the 2, the invisible 2, then we just carry it over. All right. So then, yes, the answer for this problem is this. And yes, it's the same as this piece that we started off with when we substituted the 24 originally, but this is the acceptable format in math when it's rationalized for reasons that I showed earlier. So the time that it takes for the ball to hit the bottom of to hit the floor is the square root of 120 over 5 seconds. Let's go to the next problem. The last problem. So it's we do. Get prepared to get prompted with questions. Does anyone know where this hospital is at? It's a local hospital. The problem, much like the last problem, says the time t that it will take an object to hit the ground can be estimated by the following formula, the same formula, right? If I drop a ball from the top of Olive View Medical Center, which is approximately 278 feet, I Googled it, how long will it take to hit the floor? Rationalize your results, just like we did here, all right? So let's write down our formula, right? And here in the text, it says that the height is 278. So instead of substituting 24, as we did here, we're going to put in 278. So h is equal to 278. And 2 times 278 over 10. So 278, since there's an 8 there, that implies that this is an even number. That is, that it's divisible by 2. And 10 is also divisible by 2, right? 2 times 5 is 2, right? So just like this problem, I can reduce it. So if I divide this one by 2, this one gives me 5. And if I divide this one by 2, this is 139. So that means that I have 2 times 139 over 5. Very similar to the last problem. So let's multiply this out. This gives me 5 and 278. And now we can use this formula, not this formula, sorry, this rule that we used for this problem, all right? So I can split it, square root of 278 over the square root of 5, all right? Why? I just said it, but I'll write it here again. Square root of a over b, sorry, is equal to the square root of a over the square root of b. That's the rule that I used here. Right? And then Well, now all is left to do is rationalize the denominator. So multiply top and bottom by the denominator, right? So square root of 5 and the square root of 5, right? So square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 5 times 5, which is also the square root of 25, which is equal to 5, right? So this is, we can just fast forward, right? And the square root of 278 times the square root of 5 is 390. So then my answer is just that. This is the rationalized form. It's rationalized because there's no square roots on the bottom anymore, right? So again, just like the last problem, this answer and this answer are both the same, but the one that's accepted is the one that's rationalized, the one without the square root on the bottom, all right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can do on the coming problems.